Zach in Connecticut. What's up, Zach? Yes, Zach.
First of all, I want to say that I grew up listening to you, and it's definitely an honor to finally get on.
Well, good. Thank you.
But I want to ask, because it's been blowing up on Twitter and all the sports sources nowadays, do you think the Mets should trade either Grom or Syndergaard to try and get their farm system back?
I wouldn't do it
order?
right this minute. Listen, there's no. I mean, if it comes to you have to make a decision and be honest with yourself. If you're the Mets, if this year turns into the nightmare it might turn into, they have to make a decision. Are they willing to pay these guys? If they're not willing to pay these guys, and obviously Syndergaard's younger than DeGrom, but if you're not willing to pay these guys, then you can look at replenishing the system. If you get the deal that you want, replenish the system with two players who are very good players and deal DeGrom away under that regard, saying to yourself, we're not going to pay both of them while we're not a top-level team, and realize where you stand as far as this. But if you're going to do that, then Cespedes has to go. And you know what? The market for Cespedes isn't going to be great. It really isn't. And plus, he doesn't really want to go either. So, I mean, you're going to be left with very little if you do that. You're a now team if you're the Mets. Mike in Massapequa, what's up, Mike?
How you doing, Mike?
Good, what's up?
Back.
Thank you.
Mike, just a quick check-in with you on two things, right?
Yeah.
The Daily News front page, they show DeGrom, they show, all of these things with Syndergaard possibly going to the Yankees. Do you think that the Yankees are a valuable part to the Mets, knowing that the Yankees have so many prospects in their farm system that they might be able to get?
I think they're a good match, but I don't think they will. I think they are a good match in terms of Yankee prospects and what DeGrom would be for the Yankees. I don't think they're a good match in that these teams don't like each other and they don't make trades. And I think the idea of them making a trade is going to be very difficult.
Okay, second question. Tomorrow, the Preakness.
Yes.
I mean, I watched this horse the last time he ran. I thought the fractions were unbelievable. I really didn't think at the top of the stretch that he was going to win.
He won easy.
What's your thoughts on that? I mean,
I don't think there's anything in this legitimately. Now,
hello?
Yes, you do not get rich. Well, there's an old adage that there isn't a man alive who paid his mortgage at 2 to 5 or 1 to 5. Okay, so betting 1 to 5 horses is not the way to go. You want to bet Justify over a couple of long shots, fine. You want to put them with Good Magic second and then put everybody third and fourth and hope you get yourself a couple of dollars in a long shot comes in third and you get yourself a couple of dollars in the pick 4. So be it. Superfecta, rather. I don't mean pick 4, I mean Superfecta. The horse is going to be 1 to 5. That means he's 20 cents on the dollar. That means he's prohibitive. I don't see Good Magic being as good as him. I don't see anything in this race that challenges him. His 4 races, any one of them wins this open length. He has not run a race. As an example, just to give it to you in simplistic terms, there is only one other horse in this race that has run 100 Bayer. To win these classic races, you usually have to run over 100 Bayer. The Bayer is the speed rating. Good Magic in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile at Del Mar last year ran 100 even. No other horse in the race has run 100 at any time. If you're thinking of winning a Triple Crown race, you got to be able to get your horse up to run 100 Bayer. Justify has run over 100. He's run anywhere from 104 to 101 to 107 to 103. In all 4 career starts, he's broken 100 in all 4 starts. So his worst race is better than any horse's best race. So he would have to either get hurt or just be so beat up for some reason that we didn't know about. If he's healthy, he wins this race open lengths. He's much better. First of all, it's a terrible field. It's not a Triple Crown field. They cheat. You know what it is? So here's what some guys said. Some guys said, we're going to take the time off and go meet him in the Belmont and try to ambush him. Other guys said, hey, there's a lot of money to be made out here. We're not going to make any money against this horse anywhere. So I'm saving my bullets for later in the summer. I'm going to go race where he doesn't race and goodbye. They took off and left and said, we'll run, maybe we'll visit him later in the year, or maybe we won't, but we're not going near him. Some horses will try him in the Belmont, thinking that he'll get tired and that the 3 races in 5 weeks at 3 different tracks will have worn him out. So people will always take a shot at him in the Belmont. After the Belmont, nobody will take a shot at him again. This horse, I think there's more a chance this horse wins this race going away by 5 or 6 lengths than there is that this horse gets beat. And I very rarely would say that about a race ever. Very rarely. This horse is absolutely, and plus he's already won over this track twice in 4 races. He just looks a lot better than this field. A lot better. John in Connecticut. What's up, John?
Hey, Mike. Thanks for taking the call.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, I'm a big LeBron James fan, and I think that this year is his last year going to the NBA Finals. I see Golden State winning this. Now, I ask you, if that is the case and Golden State ends up winning the championship, where does LeBron go next year? And if he goes somewhere like, say, a Houston or, say, a San Antonio, does that start to hurt his reputation?
I don't believe there's anything at this stage that could hurt his reputation. I mean, what he's accomplished is so overwhelming that I don't think he has to play another game to be considered one of the handful of greatest players of all time. If he never played another game, he will be remembered as one of the greatest players who have lived. So
I've always felt he was the Chamberlain of his era.
No, he's not. He's not.
Well, he's the physical freak by that, I mean, that nobody physically could be on the court with him. Whichever team he would go to would instantly become a contender. But he's not the great winner of his generation.
Why not? He's been to the finals 8 straight years.
Yes, but he hasn't won them now.
What do you mean? Now, wait a second. He's
See,
wait a second. He's won 3. Wait a second. He's won. Durant has won 1 championship, and he went to a loaded team that won the year without him, both the year before, and he's a better winner than LeBron.
I'm saying historically it might be looked
How
at
is that the case? That's
because
ridiculous.
I think when you lose, I think historically it hurts.
But it's only for people. See, you don't get it. You don't get it. Russell played with 8 Hall of Famers. Jordan never. Did Jordan ever take a bad team to the finals?
Let me ask you, why is Jordan considered the best?
Did Jordan ever take... Jordan's only considered the best by the people who are now alive and have lived watching him. People...
You don't consider the Jordan the best?
Do I consider Jordan better than Bill Russell? No, I think there's no way to even qualify them against each other. So I would have no way of telling you...
What makes Russell better than Jordan?
What makes Jordan better than Russell? Let me ask you the question that way.
Well, no, I think Jordan was a more skilled player than Russell.
Why?
I'm asking...
Why? All Russell did was play 13 years.
Defender. He was a better ball handler.
Wait, so did you just say that he was an equal defender to Bill Russell? You didn't just say that, did you?
For the people he played.
Wait a second, you didn't just say that, did you?
Yes, I did.
Well, that would rank as one of the dumbest comments of all time. That you're comparing him to Bill Russell.
Better than Jordan because of his.
Wait a second. Well, let me just ask you this. Okay, you equated it all to winning. Bill Russell won 2 college championships, an Olympic gold medal, and then 11 championships in 13 years. Now, who can beat that?
Exactly, but when I brought
who can beat that?
James, you said it wasn't about winning.
Who can beat that? Well, you made it about winning.
Can, but the thing is
well, then wait a second. Then how do you? Well, how is that? You made it about championships. Then how can you make it about anybody but Bill Russell? If Jordan won 6 titles and Bill Russell won 11, how is it more about? How is it more about Jordan?
I was comparing Jordan to James specifically.
Why?
Because they're closer in skill set, and
first of all, they're not. First of all, they're not close in skill set. They're very different players. They're exceedingly different players. Okay, they don't even play the same position. Now, number 2, what team did Jordan take to the finals that was an inferior team? What team did he drive that was terrible to the finals?
Now, see, you're asking
the answer is
a
0.
That I don't actually.
Well, the answer is I'll answer it for you. The answer is 0. He didn't do that. And you're knocking James for doing that. James is just like this year. If James takes this awful team to the finals and loses in 5 games, which he easily would, or 4 games, you're going to knock James for taking this team to the finals when this team doesn't belong anywhere near the finals. And that's why I hope this year James doesn't go to the finals, because people like you would knock him for going. When all he's done is driven a team that's a 20-win team to the finals, which he's done on a couple of occasions. Jordan never did that. You want to say Jordan had tougher teams to go through? Make it whatever point you want to make it. Doesn't matter. Everyone will have a point for every other counterpoint. The point is, Jordan went to the finals 6 times with the favorite and won all 6 times. And I'm not sure how heavy a favorite they were against the Lakers. And after game 1, I know a lot of people thought they were going to get beat in that series, and then they won the next 4 games in a row. And the guy who was unbelievable in that series was Pippen, because he shut down Magic Johnson completely after the first game. And not to say Jordan wasn't great at what he did. He did. He scores. That's what he does. He's a brilliant scorer. No one's knocking Jordan. But again, if you could look at LeBron James and knock him for what he's done this year in the playoffs, it's ridiculous. He's won games single-handedly. And I hope he doesn't get to the finals, because I don't want to see him lose again. And he's going to lose with this team. He's going to absolutely lose if he gets there. Because you know what? Durant, who's the second best player in the league, has got the next 3 best players on the court on his team. They have no chance. Nobody's beaten Golden State this year. The Celtics would be lucky to win 2 games. I don't even think they will. Maybe with their tenacity, they might win 2 games. I would hope they would. And I'm hoping they go. I think this Cleveland-Boston series is going to be a long series. I think Cleveland's going to win the next 2 games. I think it's going to be a long series. But I've said before the series started, I thought Boston could beat them, and I hope they would, because I don't want LeBron to go and lose the final again, as he's going to. And he doesn't deserve the grief. He really doesn't. Zach in Brooklyn. What's up, Zach?
Hi, Mike. Welcome back.
Thank you. What's up?
Thank you. I had a quick question. I want to know your opinion on the whole Ben Roethlisberger saga with the backup quarterback, what he said about the newly drafted
rookie. That he wouldn't school him?
He said,
he said he wouldn't school him. In paraphrasing, he said he wouldn't. He wouldn't school.
As a Steeler fan, I completely agree with what he said, but I think that there's a lot of outrage, sort of misplaced outrage, by a lot of the people in the league. I mean, if you look at football, there's like a double standard. When it comes to basketball, LeBron James dictates every decision that Cleveland makes, every managerial position, everything, and nobody has a problem. Ben Roethlisberger changed this franchise, changed this organization, and he just
excellent point. Excellent point. Excellent point. They are treated completely differently. In basketball, we have now created the player who, because he is such a dominant force in winning and losing, completely controls the entire
Mike, it's
franchise.
It's not even the dominant player. Otto Porter Jr., for example, was on the Wizards. He dictated the whole offseason.
Nah, that's not true. They see he really doesn't. He doesn't dictate. LeBron dictate. They dictate. Okay, they dictate. But your point about Roethlisberger is true. First of all, they don't want quarterbacks to dominate that way. Some do. Hey, Peyton Manning dominated down that level. Peyton Manning basically ran everything when he was in the franchise. He basically was running the franchise. So we know that.
I think Ben is entitled to say that he wasn't happy.
I think Ben is well within his rights to say what he said. Absolutely well within his rights to say what he said. Absolutely. So if anyone has a problem with it, tough.
Yeah. And they're taking it for granted, the organization. They don't realize that he's a once-in-a-century quarterback, possibly the second-best quarterback, playing right now, 3rd, no question. And I don't think the organization went out and did enough in the draft, and I think it's going to come back to bite them because he's going to hold out.
Ben is, listen, I'm a big Ben fan. I like Ben. Is he the third? Ben's got a couple interesting wrinkles to him. He's got a couple of interesting statistical wrinkles to him that makes him a puzzling guy. Number one, he plays much better at home than he does on the road. Incredibly better. Now, there are a couple of guys who do that who are dome guys, but he's not a dome guy, and he plays incredibly better at home than he does on the road. Number two, he has not been a great postseason player, which we know. So, I mean, that's not been his great strength. But if you compare him to the guy he gets compared to the most, Eli Manning, he's been a better day in, day out player than Eli. There's no question about that. Eli's been a better postseason player than he has. I think there's no doubt about that. But again, I think Ben's a Hall of Famer. I don't think there's any question. I think he's had a wonderful career. I think early on they did him a lot of favors because they actually played him when he wasn't ready, and he was able to have success because, let's be honest, his first Super Bowl win, he played about as badly as you could possibly play at the position and win. I mean, it was that bad a game. But he more than made up for that. And I don't have, and going to what you said at the beginning, Zach, I don't have any problem with him, with what he takes as his tact. You know, he doesn't want to school someone else. That's not his job. It doesn't have to be his job. Absolutely. He's not. There's no saying that he has to do that. They have coaches for that. They don't have to have him do that. Jesse in South Brunswick. What's up, Jesse?
Hey, Mike, I just wanted to talk a little bit about Yankees and their rotation.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm a diehard here, but come postseason, I'm not that comfortable. If the rotation stayed as is right now, and you're throwing Montgomery and Sonny Gray out there, just I feel like.
Well, first of all, you're not throwing 5 starters in the playoffs anyway. So you're not throwing 5 guys. So you're limiting. You're throwing 3, and you're going to throw your 4th reluctantly. But you're basically basing everything your hope on 3 starters, and then you're going to throw your 4th once, and that's it. But you're hoping you can live with the 3 starters. So your 3 starters would clearly be Severino, Tanaka, and right now CeCe would be your 3 starters.
And CeCe and Tanaka both have shown in the playoffs they come up big.
Oh, Tanaka especially came up very big, yes.
Definitely, but let's say ALCS Game 7, and you have Sonny Gray set. I don't know if there's a Yankees fan out there that has any confidence. They're not going to pitch Sonny Gray in the 7th game, though. They're not going to do that if he hasn't pitched well. He would have had to pitch well long before that, and won your confidence long before that, Jesse, for him to ever see the field in Game 7. Right now, Sonny Gray would never see. Right now, Sonny Gray wouldn't make the postseason roster. He wouldn't be on the postseason roster. That was my next thing. I don't even think he's going to be. I honestly feel
we don't know that yet.
Get traded.
Listen, we don't know what his future is yet here because we're going to see how he performs. But listen, guys don't get to the 7th game to decide things unless they've pitched well before that in the postseason. Now, you don't go with a guy who's pitching badly in the 7th game. You make changes. You don't do that. Look at Houston last year. Houston shut its whole bullpen down in the final in the playoffs. They decided, you know what? We're not pitching our bullpen. We're pitching starters out of the pen. That's it, and we're going to win that way. And they did. Les in Parsippany. What's up, Les?
Hey, how's it going, Mike?
Good. What's happening?
Just to add to the previous caller, I mean, this Yankee team right now is rolling. They're young. Unfortunately, I'm comparing them to the teams of 96, 98, where they had a lot of veteran leadership.
I don't like the 98 comparisons. I think they're not the same team.
Really
for this reason, I don't think. First of all, the 98 team was a great team. Secondly, they don't have the pitching the 98 team had.
Yeah, that's true. So, I'm really talking about 96, where they had Boggs, Strawberry, all these veteran players, a presence there to kind of help out the young kids work their way to the World Series. I'm talking World Series. Do you think that they need to make a move at the trading deadline to get 1 or 2 veterans in to help out this young team? I don't think this young team.
No, I don't think. See, I think they have plenty of guys who are old enough as veterans who have been through enough stuff already that have been through it. You got guys who have been on championship teams, a couple of them. You got guys who have been around enough, have been through last year. I don't think they have to worry about adding veteran players to this group. I think they need to add 1 winning pitcher to the group. Yeah. I think that's what they need to add. But again, we got a long way to go to that. This is going to be a very good season. It's a very different team. Remember, that 98 team was down 2-1 to Cleveland in the postseason. And I'm telling you, they lost on a Friday night, and this town panicked like they gave up the ghost to that 98 team. And that 98 team didn't lose another game the rest of that season. And I could not believe the way people were bailing on that team down 2-1. And you know who was going to the mound for them that night? El Duque. And you forget. Now, Duque was going to take, during the season, 11 weeks off and go to the beach and not pitch. But in the postseason, he was a tremendous postseason pitcher. And having him and guys like Wells and guys like him, those guys were winners in the postseason. The only spot you ever had that you had a problem with David Wells was the game that he came up with the bad back in Game 5. That was the only one in Miami. That was the only one when he left after 1 inning. Because that turned into a mess. Tom in Long Island, what's up, Tom?
Hey, Mike. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Glad to hear you on the airwaves.
Mm-hmm.
Can't wait to see what you got from Twitter. a hypothetical about Matt Harvey. Say he goes, 5-2 with a 2.5 ERA. Would the Yankees take a shot at this guy, even though the baggage he has? What do you think?
I doubt it. I doubt they would bring him into this year. I've seen nothing that would show that. Yesterday, he got hit, or whatever day he pitched. He pitched Wednesday or Thursday. I can't remember now. He pitched Wednesday. He pitched Wednesday afternoon, and he gave up 3 runs in 4 innings. I mean, I didn't think he pitched overly well. So I'm not ready to think about him in any real way. I don't see him as the guy. I think the guy the Yankees are looking to get is a guy who's quality, a guy that can match up with Verlander, match up with Keuchel, match up with Morton, match up with somebody from Houston, match up with somebody in a big spot. That's what they're looking for. Back after this.